Born and raised in Sweden, and started leaving Sweden, living abroad when I was in my mid-20s, going to San Diego, where I am right now. And it's also where I learned to surf and where I
Mhm,
started surfing. I didn't start until a few years later, though, so
mhm,
30s. But currently live in Bali. I'm mainly based in Bali and have been for almost a decade now. But I've been a psychologist, mental health worker, social worker in that space, specialized in neuropsychiatric disorders
mhm.
early. So I did that for my career in Sweden prior to starting my own businesses and starting practicing more independently, so to speak. So that's the background I come from. I come from working with children and adolescents with, on the autism spectrum, or, not neurotypical, but also from the social welfare healthcare system. So children, teenagers placed outside of their home through social care, social services, and working, just basically helping them. Or, I wasn't always the the social worker, the one working directly with the children, but or most of the time I wasn't. I was working with the staff, doing it, overseeing treatments,
Mhm.
doing the treatment parts, and having sessions with kids, but not the day-to-day work, and more on sort of the systemic basic. But maybe that's a tangent. Anyway, that's sort of the background I'm coming from, heavy social, psychosocial work, and but specialized with neuropsychiatric disorders. So I have a strong background in neuropsychology, but also a lot of it is in emotional understanding, and sort of my education is on that cognitive emotional side of things as well.
Mhm,
Anyway,
mhm,
moved away from that as I moved to Bali, starting my own business, wanted to work with anxiety, stress, burnout, adults rather than children, but
mhm,
pivoted into the surf stuff as we came up. But basically, I moved to Bali, built a retreat center, was going to work with these things. Pandemic is hitting, switching into then working more with surfers
mhm.
because surfers were still available. I saw opportunity in the market, so I just kind of like pivoted my work and how I work towards that,
Mhm.
and also deepened my education towards, more trauma work, understanding, starting working with hypnotherapy, because I discovered that also as a methodology through those years. And yeah, and now I work
Mhm.
almost exclusive with surfers. I
Mhm.
still have clients who don't surf, but that's
Mhm.
my main focus. So I
Yeah.
work a
So
lot.
you're already taken off all my questions I actually had. So you're rolling along, which is good, which is good, which is
Mm.
good. Because I maybe for this podcast, I actually wanted to tell the people first that I met you while building up. About 2 weeks ago, I started my new Instagram account, which deals with
Mm.
surf and social media retreats. And I immediately hit your account. And there she
Mm.
was, the surf
Mm.
psychologist. And I was like, wow, what a great name. And then
Mm.
you are a surf psychologist. It's not only a name, certainly.
No.
So, yeah, but thank you for introducing yourself. But I'm curious how you get from Scandinavia to San Diego and then from San Diego to Bali. Is that like a
Mm.
coincidence or what
No.
was that the plan?
Well, how I got to San Diego was, and sort of definitely something that serendipitously, I guess, led me down this path of surfing and water sports. But the choice to go there was super easy. I wanted, well, and random, I guess it could seem, or not, it's not like I went, where in the world do I want to go? This is what I did. Because it was during my my education, my university time in Sweden. I wanted to go study abroad for a little bit, and the university actually had exchanges with certain universities around the world, and San Diego was one of them. And
Mhm.
San Diego was like, oh, that's cool. That's in the US. It's not Europe, so it's something different.
Exactly. Mhm.
It's Southern California. It's going to be warm. This is exciting. Let's go there. So I
Absolutely.
did.
And that's maybe our similarity, because the same happened to me when I was 24, 25, and
Mm,
there was a scholarship for Hawaii. And
yeah.
nobody signed. I was the first one signing. That was just
Yeah.
a piece of paper on the board, and I was like, I
Mm,
don't know where Hawaii is. There was no WhatsApp, no internet, no nothing, no email. Email
yeah.
started then in
Yeah.
'95, and I was like, I don't care. I want to go to Hawaii. And I thought like it would be
Mm,
like cannibalism or something, cannibalism and
mm.
drugs. I was thinking. I was like, okay, so let's take the risk. And so we
Mm,
have the same kind of story. I was like, yeah, let's go in the middle to the
yeah.
middle of the ocean. No?
Yeah.
But what
Yeah.
I
Which
find
is
really
that?
interesting
Yeah.
sometimes, and you called it serendipity, which is one of the
Mm.
first English words I learned really when I was 25,
Oh. Mm,
serendipity,
mm,
and something else, ubiquitous. I couldn't even
mm.
spell ubiquitous. That was one of my first
No.
vocabularies.
Mm,
But I find it really interesting, how life works, and how you then get
yeah.
to go surfing and then combine your
Mm,
surfing with psychology, which is, I think, the perfect thing to do.
mm,
Because for me, surfing is already, psychological.
mm,
It's psychotherapy, I think,
mm,
because you
mm.
are aware of your body, you are aware of your mental, like in my case, and
Yeah.
I don't think about the past or the future. I'm so much in, in the moment. With
Yes.
the situation itself.
Mm.
So maybe why did you then start, or what is your mission? Why did you get to combine surfing and psychology?
Mm.
What is the deal? Like, what is the topic?
I mean, for me, it's to be able to work like at the core of it. There's many things and many parts to these things, but the part of it that is for me very powerful, very unique, the thing that I love doing is using this uh, let's describe it like this. We have an arena, we have a place, we have the water, we have the ocean, which is it's a triggering place. It brings up things because it's this uncontrolled environment that puts us a little bit immediately outside of our comfort zone, meaning that our inner things, we're already a little bit elevated, a little bit triggered. There's things going on, so we have this arena that facilitates our struggles, our sort of maybe maladaptive is a strong word, maladaptive behaviors, but what I'm talking about are the things that we do that are not necessarily serving us. These things are brought out when we are under stress, pretty much. And because the ocean is this uncontrolled, unpredictable environment, we already have higher stress levels, meaning we have better access to these things.
Mhm.
So that's and that is, as a therapist, like you kind of want that. You want these things to run because you want to have an easy eye on it and then look at it, and your client to also be more aware and sort of closer to these things. It's bringing these things out, so it makes for an excellent arena for therapy, or an excellent catalyst for us to see, okay, this is what's going on in your inner world. But
And you
then I
can't
also,
escape. No? I mean, it's right in front of you. You can't almost
yeah,
expect. Yeah.
exactly.
Mhm.
It's and then I also then work with performance, as
Mhm.
in I work with sports performance, as like also as a tool or a way, a framework for you to face these things. So we have the arena that kind of helps us bring it out. And then we have the performance and the sports performance as sort of the vehicle or the driver for you to wanting to face these things.
How
And
interesting.
and then I get to do it also in, outside in nature, in a place that we all can feel connected to something deeper, to something. So it also kind of hits those notes, not for everyone, but for a lot of us, it does. And it has this wellness aspect of it, as in beyond, like if we look at this therapeutic arena, outside, like, because other parts where people tend to seek help is would be relationships, career, those types of things, right? But here they're seeking it from a place that in itself carries a lot of wellness and physical health benefits, being outside, moving, all of these things. So I sort of for free get these positive benefits that is incorporated into my clients' lives.
I love so much how you express this, because I was always looking for words when I was surfing. Like I can't, like I can say there is something out there and something which happens, but I don't find, I mean, and certainly you are well practiced to use these words. How many percentage of the people who book your offers, or your retreats, how many of them did surf before or not? And how many of them are male, female?
All of them already surf. They already come there. I don't really work with, but I could, but like I don't work with people who haven't never surfed before, because if they've never surfed before, they don't really see the need for my help, because I'm coming a lot from like when you struggle in these situations and when you're facing, anxiety in the water or fear in the water, or whatever it is that you're facing, or you feel stuck, you're not progressing, you're not getting anywhere. Those are the usual questions that drives people to my doorstep. So therefore, everyone are already surfers. Percentage male, female, roughly 70-30, but I can tell you that that's at least where we started, but it is because I'm reaching females in many ways, and I do believe that women, the threshold for women to seek help and to elicit these kinds of services are a lot lower than it is for men. But then you take a look at the surfing population as a whole, I would say that is then the percentage is switched. Maybe it's 80% male, 20% female, meaning that as my business grows and my reach grows, I'm starting to get a lot more male clients. So if I'm actually looking at my client data right now, it's probably 50-50. Which is interesting.
That is interesting.
But then
Absolutely.
my following and people who are listening to me, they are perhaps, it's still a majority female, 70-30.
And what about the ages? Are there a lot of young people, middle-aged people? I'm like above 50 now. I wonder how many people with like 50 years of age, would think like, yeah, let's go to Bali to visit your retreat. Yeah.
Yeah. So my clients are probably upper 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, beyond. I mean,
beyond.
the majority.
Cool.
The majority, yeah. I have people who are in their 70s and want to work with me, But the majority of my clients, I would say, are between, in their 40s, 40 to 60, I would say. They're there, or early mid, well, yeah, probably 35 to 50, or that's where the majority of them are. So definitely not younger, because it's also I mean, it's just a life thing, right? Like you understand the need for these things, and then it's a financial aspect as well, because it's not
it's not for free.
No, it's not for free. You
Yeah,
need
and
to
we
make a
need to
living.
also, like, I have a network in Germany of female
Mm,
entrepreneurs, and we need to talk about finances all the time because
mm,
it's not for free,
no.
especially when you want to live of it, and
Mm,
if you want to have, yeah, that life you want to lead. But
mm,
like, for example, if somebody comes to Bali and you figure, yes, he or she can surf, and then
mm,
you, I guess, start talking about things and
mm.
stuff. But what is your first three steps? Like, what, I guess you reach out to the people and say, like, let's try, let's see. But what would be your first three steps or your first advices to people? Like, is there some advice which you repeat all the time? Is there something, in your daily life which
Yeah, I mean,
always comes
there
back?
really is. But this all depends on the level of the client and what
Hmm.
we're doing and their sort of inner need, which is, I would say, differentiated in about three different categories. I
Hmm.
should also probably add that most of my work is online coaching and therapy and hypnotherapy. So very little of what I do is retreats. That's like
Hmm.
a sort of side thing that I offer sometimes
Hmm.
because it's fun. But I don't really enjoy organizing retreats, so and doing all of that around. So therefore, I don't do that.
Hmm.
But first off, I'll tell you like my general client could pretty much be sorted into three different categories, which will be the ones that are coming from a performance perspective, feeling stuck, being in high pressure, putting, feeling that they're never good enough and feeling stuck, don't know what to do, kind of like
Hmm.
in that, like where it's like, I'm not getting better and I hate myself for it kind of
Hmm.
category.
Frustration.
Frustration overload. That's one type of client.
Hmm.
And I work specifically, or, like I'll say the same things and I'll start the same. I try to generalize because there is definitely some sort of general themes there that I tell to people. But then we have the a second category, which is anyone coming from a fear, trauma perspective, where they're having this overload of anxiousness, either to prior events in the water, traumatic incidents, or grown up in more disruptive environments. So they're higher on the anxiousness, and because the ocean is what it is,
Hmm.
but they're really in love with surfing, and they feel like they need to learn to manage these responses and those things. So that's another category. And then you have a third category, which is, and here I find that I find a lot of females more. Like higher percentage of females here, perhaps, but that could also just be because I don't reach
Hmm.
that this male typical client here also exists, but and it's the ones that have a hard time taking space, feeling like they belong in places, stepping up, expressing, being, because it's quite, if speaking, like, yes, there's a lot of much more guys out there, but it's also a very male energetic
Yeah.
arena, as in, it's high impact, high energy, lots of all of these things, and not all of us are comfortable in that, and having a harder time than to step up and be like, say, this is me, this is my time, I can do this. So that's another type of client that needs work around just
Super
um,
interesting. Hmm.
showing up
Hmm.
in, like empowering themselves from a self-esteem,
Hmm.
self-belief,
Hmm.
acceptance perspective.
And it relates to the question I always get as
Mm,
I surfed when I was 25, and now I try to gain that sphere back with a body which
mm,
is above 50, which is different.
mm,
But I'm a swimmer, so I can swim, paddling out and being in the waves. I don't care. Like it's my realm. But the
mm,
question I get the most from females, I talked about now my new offer, the surf and social media retreats, was like, I don't know if I can do it. Like that hesitation to even try, to even yeah, try it once, you know, after which you still can say like, I can't, or it's not my thing or something, but the threshold to get there is so big. And also maybe the threshold to say like, yeah, I can improve myself. It's not, you know, pedaling, but I can also stand up with a pop-up, you know. So I guess females have this not only anxiousness, but maybe, I don't know, they hesitate so much to do the first steps and to be brave enough. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. That is a thing. And you know, it is about taking that space and saying that I am allowed to do this, I can do this, and not waiting for an invitation or permission from someone else. And
You know
that's
what's
a
so
little bit what
interesting? It's so interesting. I'm in my menopause now for 4 years, which is, I guess, the hardest time, like physically, of my life, with like the nights, and then I lost my hair, and no. But without sports, I always thought like I immediately would die. Like I think my sport was the island, the buoy, which rescued me in the end. But in the menopause, I exactly what you just said, like I learn what egoism, like a healthy egoism really means, that I can put myself first. And that is, I'm so thankful for that, you know, development in my menopause, to put myself first. It's a totally new experience.
Yes, and I get that, you know, like that's sort of the, you know, the cultural female is that we serve, you know, we follow,
Total.
we don't put ourselves to, and then especially, you know, the mothering role is also that, right? So there's a lot of reinforcements around those things, and yeah, but that's why the surf then also become this excellent arena for inner work, because it kind of requires you to do that, and it gives you, and if you know, like you have this experience that you want to have, that drives you, that helps you actually do that, you know.
It's so great talking to you, because it explains also my behavior. When my son was 8, we went to like a surf camp in France every year, for 14 days or 3 weeks. And after the first year, in the first year, we were in the same class with the same teacher. Did not work. It did not work. I didn't do anything.
No.
I was just sitting there watching the kid, you know,
Yeah,
observing the kid
of
if he
course.
would, you know,
Yeah.
survive the whole thing, which was
Yeah.
the surf coach's role. It wasn't even my role, but I did it anyway because I was his mom.
I mean, you're
So,
his mother.
and that
Yeah,
was so
exactly.
crazy. And then the second year, I said, like, something went wrong last year because I didn't even get to surf. I was just watching that my kid survives. And then the surf coach said, like, well, then we put you in a different class. And that was perfect. That was the perfect
Yeah.
trick. That was so
Yeah.
perfect. It's so easy.
Yeah.
It's insane. It's insane, you
Yeah.
know, and I'm a very, you know, I have a lot of self-esteem and stuff, but I was lost. That
Yeah,
is
I
so
get it.
crazy.
I get it.
But what is your, Lisa, let me ask you, what is your special connection to the ocean? Why the ocean and not the mountains or the air or the, you know, the volcanoes or whatever?
Yeah, I think to be, I mean, I think it started somewhere from sort of like it's, you know, from the beach perspective of it's warm and sunny, and that's where I want to be, you
Uh-huh.
know, in terms of like, because that sunshine, and it's growing up in Sweden, you know, the darkness was hard for me, not the temperatures necessarily, but the darkness. So there was always sort of an attraction or a draw to sunnier, happier, easier, lighter places, because that's what it felt like to me. But that being said, always been around water growing up and all of it, and I just because you know, like I mean, you know, grow up skiing and snowboarding and all of that, so I have that access, but it didn't become the passion it is, for me now. But I think it's the combination of the element not being predictable, you know, like a mountain is there. Sure, it changes a little bit, but not in the same way as a, you know, like surfing the wave changes and is unpredictable. I mean, there's some prediction, but you understand what I'm
Yeah,
saying. It's this,
total, totally.
and I think it's this element of, because there's also a very strong interaction with this natural element, as in like there's a you have to understand it, see it, and catch it in the moment much more than anything else. And I think that aliveness of it is what gives me that sort of deeper connection with it, or drive and love for it, because it's a bit elusive, it's not always, like you have to interact with it. There has to be a communication, a dialogue.
Yeah.
It's not
Yeah.
just there
No.
if you leave, or if you know, like, or if you can't always, it's not always there in a way. And it's this interconnected thing, surfing. I think that's a lot of it. And there's just something specific and special about water and in the ocean. And most surfers know these. And there's lots of studies also around it with this blue health, and how the mind, there's this what's it called, the blue mind, I think that's what the book is called. How we physically react and psychologically react to water and ocean. And the blue mind. So I think there's also something sort of deeper evolutionary that sort of isn't just me, a personal experience for me, but that's giving me that more than the mountains.
And did you ever have like a risky situation or an anxious situation or something where you figured, I don't know how I will survive that moment? Or
I definitely had.
You did.
I've had a moment where I thought I was going to die. And it was actually here in San Diego. Early on surfing, I was out in conditions I shouldn't have been out in, because I didn't understand. I wasn't at the point where I knew how to gauge these things and understand them. Like, I could tell that it was bigger than what I was used to, but I just didn't know what that would mean. And it's not like I was unsafe. I was just experiencing it was I can tell you about it. It was going out, and it was a bigger day, so it was harder to get out. And I was on a longboard at the time, so it's I couldn't duck dive and get through the sets as easily. So I'd been fighting for a bit to get out and get past the break. So I was quite winded and exhausted in that sense. And I basically knew that I would have to gun it as soon as there was a lull. I would have to like paddle extremely hard in order to get past and then be where I needed to be. And I did, and I made it past. But then as I got past, there was also a rogue set, like a much bigger set, that then ended up breaking right on top of me. And I was I was exhausted, because I'd basically been trying to get out for probably like 20 minutes, and then finally, and obviously I had that break also because there was a bigger set coming, so I was already like exhausted and out of air. And then it set breaks on me, and it's holding me under for a really long time, board dragging me underwater, and coming up with that exhaustion, out of air, and from that sort of sense of panic, when is this going to end, and I get up and there's another set, slamming on me, same thing, dragged on. And that was sort of my first really I've had those experiences, but that was like beyond what I had experienced before. So I started to kind of panic in all of it. And I was in California at the time, so there's lifeguards, and I was really like at the point where like I might have to call the lifeguard. Like, I don't know if I'm going to make, I am in a situation that I can't handle. But after also like three or four waves like that, I also realized I'm quite on the inside now. I can just ride the white water. So I basically just did that and ended up, but it was one of those scenarios where I just felt like the ocean just spat me out on the beach. And that's literally what happened. Like I was just like thrown up on the beach and kind of rolled up on the beach like that, like full on. That's what happened. And I just sat there, kind of like, oh, what just happened? I almost died, you know. That was what's going through my head, and I was just like crying and shaking and just like,
I can totally relate. Even as a good swimmer, like I'm a pretty good swimmer still. But still, certainly, it's the ocean. I don't know. It's bigger. It's more powerful. But were you able to control, or were you able to work with that? Like, were you able to dig and say, like, where is this panic come? I mean, it certainly comes from, the question if you would survive. But were you, as a psychologist, able to analyze that for yourself?
I didn't. Honestly, I didn't at the time. I was just at the time I wasn't working with these types of things at all. I was no, I mean, I didn't think about it too much. I just kind of like, okay, that happened. And the next time I went out, I think I was a little bit more nervous, but I still went out, and there was an added awareness. So I didn't really work with it at the time. But it's still something that's, I can feel it, that I have a bit of a tendency to always to be a little bit, if it's bigger, to be a little bit nervous that something's going to come further out and be a bit bigger, and I have a reaction to it that's not relative to what's going on.
And it sometimes hits you in moments where you don't expect it, no? Because I went overboard once when I was, I think it was 27 or so. It was around Hawaii. There were the doldrums, like the little micro winds and pretty high waves, and I went overboard, and I didn't know how I would make it. I didn't panic. Like, everything inside of me was suddenly calm, and I would say, like, if I die now with like 26 or 27 years of age, it's going to be okay. So that was kind of strange that I was so incredibly calm, and I tried to swim and put off my shoes and everything. But then the boat turned, and I don't know how they did it, but I somehow got on board, and I went to the hospital for 3 days because it was pretty cold, and I had swallowed so much salt water that wasn't good. But I was on a ferry a couple of years ago, and the ferry, like, we hit like some really big waves, and the whole scenario came back and just hit me right into my face. I was on that safe ferry, like totally safe, eating a sandwich, and suddenly I had the whole scenario back in my head, and I started crying, and I couldn't stop crying. Wow. Incredible, no? Incredible. But
these things live in us in a place that we're not really aware of and in touch with at all times. But it sits there, and small triggers can just bring them up, and it's as if they're happening right then and there.
And I really like us talking about it, especially as females, as we said, because I envision also certainly some programs and some offers for females only, that they get the safe space. Like, I envision small group of females about 45, 50, 60 years of age, that they have a safe space to talk about, like surfing and what comes out of them, what kind of experiences, and maybe they can, open the one or the other door to look at it in a fresh and different way again. But what is your vision? Maybe as a last question, what is your vision for this year? Like, what is your plan? What's your plan for the next couple of months? Where are you going to be? Like, what are you going to do?
Well, I'll be back in Bali from mid-May, and then I'll be around there for the high season, so like through September at least. And then I don't know if I'll be popping over to Europe, as in, like, I'll go home for a little bit, because I was home for Christmas. But I don't think I want to be home for Christmas this year, just because it was dark, and I didn't really like it. And so I'm considering going September, October. Depends a little bit. I might, if there's some opportunity for me to be in the UK, down in Cornwall, to do some things, I might do that. And then just go to Sweden for a little bit, and then have again some, back to Indonesia, and but not necessarily Bali. Maybe I'll go and I'll be in the Mentawais, or Sumbawa, or do a little bit, because I'm also want to go and be somewhere else in Indonesia just because it's a gorgeous place, lots of good waves, and I want to take the opportunity when I'm based in that area to be to access it as I can.
Do you
But it
always
all
take your
depends on.
boards with you then when you travel to surf spots? Like, do you have your boards
Yeah, in general,
already?
I do. I mean, I have short boards, so it's not a big of a hassle, but it all depends. Like from now, so now when I'm going down to Mexico from here, I'm not bringing my boards. Um, but that's also because, just to take them on these domestic flights in Mexico is going to cost me more than to rent a good board while I'm down there. So
Yeah.
then I'll just do that.
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also because I need to get on the train to get down to Mexico because I'm flying out of Tijuana, and it's just like too much to carry around a board. And because I'm only going to be there for like 12 days, I don't see the need to have my own boards,
So that is great.
But I brought my board here, I brought my board here to California because it was also easy thing to do. And
I need
because
this year. I didn't have an own board for like 25 years now. So this year I'm going to get my own board again. A long board I will certainly start off with again because I don't dare a short board. I'm like at a 7.8 inches. I'm stuck there. But I'm also, 180
that's
centimeters.
good. Like
I try.
Surfing, it's a big mistake people make is to try to go to a shorter board too soon because it doesn't help you in any way.
No, it's just frustrating.
And it's like we think that this is just because I can surf a big smaller board, I am better, but that's not the case. So with that's sort of us looking for this outside confirmation of our skill or whatever, and it's just impedes us rather than help us. So
insane what the mind tells us sometimes. No, that's insane.
I mean that would be the ego, but yeah.
That would be the ego. That is very good. So dear Lisa, thank you so much for talking to me and to all the listeners.
Happily.
And to all the people watching. I will certainly put in the show notes, I will put your Instagram account, which is SurfPsychologist, and your webpage and everything, so that people can contact you. And I would say we should have a part 2 and find a second time slot in the next couple of weeks because I have more questions to ask you. Yeah,
I do also feel like you asked me a question that I didn't really manage to answer, which is these 3 things I would tell anyone to do, right? And so we can kind of end on that note perhaps. And it's the first thing I would say is to go slow. Everything, our tendency when we're getting too stuck or stressed or everything, it always becomes rushed. So the best general advice I can give to anyone is whenever they're in a situation where they're sort of panicking or like stressing or something is not the way they want, is to slow everything down and just take everything step by step. There's no rush to anything, and to be present. That is the best, the best solution for everything is to just slow it down. When anything is going on, just slow down, take a step back.
Like in real life.
Figure it out.
Slow down in real life, it's better.
Second thing, don't forget to have fun. Like we can get into these situations where we're trying to achieve things, and we can get stuck in this performance thing. It's just like you have to have the sessions in between when you have fun and when you build, when you're experiencing joy and freedom, because otherwise, just like any relationship, if if there's more negative than there's positive, we start to lose that the good stuff with it. So don't forget that part. Third, just learn to regulate your nervous system. Like start working with breathing exercises, yoga, meditation. All of that is going to help on that level. So do some work there. Those would be the 3 things.
Yeah, plus mobility. I realized that about 50, I need to work on my mobility so much more. Like you said, yoga or some exercise.
I mean, those are, yes, exactly. I don't really, I never really work with anyone's physical side of things. It's just all up here. So it may be
it's all up there.
But yeah, you're not wrong in that sense.